good.
You just hit one.
Sorry.
Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast. Oh, welcome back to the Sneakers Cleats podcast. It's Thursday, May 23rd. Matt Roy and Chuck McIntyre on tap. Chuck, how are you today?
Doing great, Matthew. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You were telling me the other day your dad was taken to a baseball game. You haven't heard back yet. So
He must be having a good time.
Yeah,
He's in his natural element for sure.
I know. Chuck's our big baseball guy. Big baseball family, right? Our whole family loves
Yes,
baseball.
my dad played college baseball, and then he coached after he got out of the military. And a couple of his former running buddies, one was one of his players, and then the other one was the head coach. That whole crew now is at Cincinnati, and they're in the Big 12, and those guys have already turned that program around. So, yeah, pretty cool that he got to reconnect with those guys.
Awesome. So we got a lot on tap today. Did Victor Wembanyama have the greatest rookie season of all time? It's a fair question until you look at some of the other rookies of the year and other rookie seasons. We'll compare and contrast a little bit between Wilt and Magic and all those guys. Organized team activities starting this week around the NFL. Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, nowhere to be found. And apparently Dak Prescott doesn't play for money. That's
right.
news to me, but he said that yesterday, or he said that today, and so we'll break that down as well. And lastly, we will solve the great debate. Should pineapple be on pizza? That's something that is controversial in many circles, and we will solve it for you once and for all today. But first, as always, number 103 today. So let's go with number 3, who I think of is probably different than who you think of. I think of Dwayne Wade. He's my favorite player of all time. So I think D Wade is my number 3.
I think you got to go with the Babe, first of all, right? And I saw you had A-Rod on here. That's a good one, too.
He was 3 for his
How
first.
about Mike Lansing? Mike Lansing come to mind?
He didn't make the list.
He didn't make the final list. Okay.
But, I mean, Dwayne Wade was how I became a Heat fan was I was a huge Shaq fan. And then when he got traded to the Heat, I was like, okay, I'll be a Heat fan. And then they drafted D Wade. The rest is history. So D Wade, my favorite player of all time. But you can't go wrong with the Babe, the great Bambino, the what is it, the slugger of I don't know. He has so many nicknames.
The Sultan of SWAT.
Sultan of SWAT. Thank you. That's what I was going for. 3 is just such a weird number though, because you have Babe, you have Allen Iverson, you have D Wade, Chris Paul, Russ, Jimmy Fox, Alex Rodriguez. Like there's so many good 3s.
There are.
And I mean, Ken Griffey was 3 for a little bit. I think he was 3 in Cincinnati, not in Milwaukee, or not in Seattle.
He was 24 in Seattle, I believe. Memory serves.
Smoothest swing of all time.
So good.
So good.
So good. I know. And Norm Charlton, San Antonio Madison grad, played on those great Mariner teams with Junior as a teammate. And
oh, did he?
Oh, yeah. So it was fun following those teams when they were right there, just not quite good enough.
It was just so cool to see. I mean, I wasn't really old enough to appreciate it at the time, to see Griffey and his dad play together at a certain point. So I mean, that was always nice to see.
Very cool. Yes.
The Babe is the number 3 that everyone thinks of, though. One of the first number 3s. Now, I didn't realize that he was he played back when there were no numbers on your uniforms as well. So I believe it came out in 1929, I want to say, is when they started mainstreaming I will
abdicate to you on that one, because I did not know that.
When they started putting numbers on the back of players' uniforms, it was because they needed to know who it was, but they only went they did it like the batting order. So it was 1 through 9. And that's how Babe got number 3, is because he was the 3rd hitter in the batting order. So same with Lou Gehrig.
You do not know.
Lou Gehrig was 4 because of he was 4th in the batting order on a certain day. And that's how they gave him number 4. So fun fact. Also in 2003, Bucks defeated the Raiders. The Raiders were 4-point favorites in that game, and the Gruden Bowl, and John Gruden got his revenge. Yeah,
that was the greatest defensive Super Bowl performance, I think, probably ever, in terms of
better than the Ravens a couple years.
I mean, prior. It was just so many turnovers leading to points. I mean, it felt like it was just this deluge of defense, and it just couldn't be stopped. I mean, my memory is probably skewed in a lot of ways over time.
I think the 85 Bears had their Super Bowl victory went 15-1. They had a really good Super Bowl victory.
Oh, no.
I think it was
I meant to say, in that game, that was the best defensive performance by a defensive unit in a game that I've ever seen.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I mean, there was plenty of motivation there for John Gruden and his boys.
Yes, there was.
To get it back on Rich Gannon and all the Raiders.
Chucky.
Good old Chuckster. Chuckster and Chuckster.
Yes.
Basketball, Lakers. Wait, sorry. This is the first Spurs season. This should be the first Spurs championship in 2003, 2004 season, or 2002, 2003 season, right? Spurs beat the Nets.
That was the second one.
That was the second one, correct.
The first one
the
was
first
in
of
99.
the first of the 3, 5, 7.
Yes.
Is what I meant to say. But that should
the first of the dynastic Spurs, although I think 99 gets thrown in there too, which it should. I mean, it's a championship. I mean, that run was, yes, started. But then fascinatingly enough, all those championships look different. You know, they didn't do it the same way every single time. That's what was also very cool about all those championships.
So that 03 team, what were they best known for? Like, what was the cachet of that Spurs team?
That was David Robinson had made the edict, I believe, maybe it was before the season or maybe the season before, that was going to be his last season. And then they went out and won a championship too in Dave's last season, which was very cool. So, you know, Tony Parker was a very, very young player and got off to a slow start in that series. And, you know, they had Pop had put Tony Claxton in there that kind of righted the ship, but, you know, they had a lot of good players on that team and everybody just kind of chipped in. It was a lot of hamming and egging. And then, you know, Steven Jackson went off in a game and, you know, the rest is history.
All right. Excuse me. And then baseball that year, the Marlins beat the Yankees 4-2. I love that Marlins team because so many of them ended up being Red Sox and helped the Red Sox in 2007. So.
Yeah, and our guy Josh Beckett, you know, was like secretly living in San Antonio too for most of his career.
Really?
And that was his rookie season, I believe.
I think it was Miggy's rookie season as well.
And so, and I'm not sure, did he win was he World Series MVP that year too in 03?
Beckett?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was, yes.
So
that was the
Mike great
Lowell,
golfer.
That was the Mike Lowell team. I think Pudge Rodriguez might have been on that team, if I'm remembering correctly, for a year.
He might have been.
I don't recall.
He might have been on the one. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But I know, yeah, Pudge was with them. But was that the year they won it?
2003.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think he was on that team, but I can't remember.
Memory don't fail me now again.
All right, let's get into the Victor Wembanyama Rookie of the Year and rookie season here. So his rookie season was just ungodly good. If you look at it individually, his individual statistics. I mean, I'll just rattle off a couple of them. He averaged 21, 10, and 3.5, and 1.24 steals in 29.5 minutes. He led all rookies in scoring, rebounds, and blocks per game. First player in NBA history with 1,500 points, 700 rebounds, 250 assists, 250 blocks, and 100 3-pointers in a season. Won the Rookie of the Year unanimously. Made first team all rookie. Made first team all defense as a rookie. I mean, the accolades go on and on and on. So now the question is was it the greatest rookie season of all time?
You know, I think you said it best at the beginning. It's a fair question, right? Because I really hadn't thought of it in those terms. But if he's the first ever rookie to be named first team all defense, then you'd say, okay, well, at least on the defensive end, you'd probably have to say it was a historic season. I don't know. It's hard for me to kind of make that leap or think about it in those terms. I think because of all else, it is a team sport. It's not an individual sport. You're 1 of 5 on the court. And, you know, again, at some point, it's got to come down to winning and losing for me. And if they're going to win 20 games last year without him and then win 20 games again this season, and they had to really step it up on the gas there at the end in order to get to 20. So I look at it in those terms, but you know, if you wanted to argue that it was the best rookie season ever, I don't know that I would have a problem with it. I mean,
there's been a lot of good rookie years, but I feel like what diminishes him is the lack of the team's success. And so you look at a rookie year like Magic Johnson had in 79 and 80. His stats weren't off the wall. It was 18 points, 7.5 rebounds, almost 7.5 assists, but he won an NBA championship. He jumped center in game 6 to take over for Kareem. He was the finals MVP. He was an all-star. The team won more games with him. I believe it went from 47 games the year before to 60 games in that year, taking over kind of the mantle from an aging Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So you look at something like that and you're just like, well, hell, that was a better rookie season than what Wemby had. But if you take out the team success, then Wemby's were better. His numbers were better. He had a better rookie year. He burst onto the scene. But how do you weigh rookie team success and rookie individual success?
Yeah, I think that's what the postseason's for, right? Everybody gets to sort that out. There's 100 people that get to vote on, who gets the piece of paper, who gets the trophy, and that's why it's hard for me to put a lot of energy into this because somebody will sort this out for you and let you know. I mean, but yeah, in terms of trying to measure where this is historically, you'd have to say it's probably right up there, though. I mean, given the fact that he is a stat spreader almost from top to bottom, right? In almost every conceivable category.
Yeah, and you look at some of the other rookies of the year. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain, his rookie of the year is just never his rookie season is never going to be surpassed just because he averaged 37.5 points and 27 boards and was the MVP and was all NBA. It was an all-star, but that was 1959, 1960. Like, do you really want to compare someone from 65 years ago to somebody now? Because it's a completely different game. It's a completely different sport almost.
Yeah, it's almost like a completely different sport from what it even was 10 years ago.
Exactly. Look at, like, was this the greatest rookie year of all time? Personally, I don't think you can call it that, but I do think it's fair to say that this is the best rookie season that anybody has had since Tim Duncan. I think that's fair because Tim was 21.1 points per game, 11.9 rebounds a game, was rookie of the year, all NBA, all defense. He was an all-star. He was the last rookie to be named to an all NBA team, I believe, as well. So you kind of, and then you look at the win differential on that. The team that drafted Tim Duncan, the Spurs, went from the bottom of the barrel to an NBA playoff team. Like, they won 36 more games that year. So how does that, it comes back to that. How much does your wins and your team's winning add into your rookie success, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's a hard one to measure too, because when Tim came into the league, you got to remember they got Tim because Dave missed almost the entirety of the season before. And then so Dave came back and, so it's nice to line up with another twin tower with you, Dave Robinson. You knew it was going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't know that we knew at the time Tim was going to be, but obviously that turned out to be the case too.
You look at that season, it's kind of an anomaly. It's like everything went wrong for the Spurs the year before to make it so they got the number one pick. And then you added Tim Duncan to a team that could have been good the year before, but just was marred by injuries. And then you add him into a team that was good already, and they ended up winning 36 more games. So when you look at the impact on winning, I don't know if you can really compare those two, just because it was such a different situation.
Right. But it did happen.
It did happen. It did happen. And then you look at, like,
part of the legend of Tim Duncan, though, too, when you get right down to it.
But also you have, like, David Robinson's rookie year in 89-90, obviously after his naval stint. He had 35. His impact on winning was 35 additional wins in his rookie season. 2 years after he was drafted.
That literally was one of those where you had never seen anybody that could do what Dave did.
Right.
And the thing that always astounded me about Dave was, how quickly he could cut the court, obviously how twitchy he was, but he did almost everything left-handed. His jump shot was different. Most guys shoot their jump shot at the height or at the apex, right? When they release the ball. Dave would do his on the way down. Everything about Dave's game was different and things that we hadn't seen before. But man, what a force. I mean, there were some, like, individual games where it was Spurs against the Bulls here, and it was literally like watching a highlight reel every single time each team had the ball. And just some of the games that stand out. I mean, again, they're gifts. You don't know that you're getting them at the time, but over time they prove to be exactly that.
I think that overall, when you look at this, and just to put a bow on this conversation before we advance to some Cowboys stuff, is like Wemby had one of the greatest rookies seasons of all time. If they had won 25 more games and made the playoffs, it probably would be in the conversation of the greatest rookie season of all time. But the fact that we're even having it, because they didn't, it's not. But the fact that we're even having the conversation about a player on a team that won 20-62 or 22-60 or whatever it was, had the exact same record as with him as without him, the fact that we're even talking about that adds to the legend that is Victor Wembanyama for his rookie season because of what he did this year individually.
Well said.
I think that's fair.
Yes.
All right.
I do.
All right. Well, let's move on to the Cowboys. So Micah and CD no shows this week at OTAs. Micah missed last year as well. He was training out in Austin, I believe. This year he's training in the boxing gym, I guess. He's out boxing somewhere. Two different scenarios, two different circumstances, I guess. Micah is going to be there. Coach Mike McCarthy said that he's going to be there next week. CD is holding out for a new contract. So two very, very different circumstances. Dak and Coach McCarthy were asked about it yesterday and this morning. So let's hear from them real quick.
Mike is here in town. He's been in and out. He's obviously had some unique travel opportunities. He was here Friday. Spent a lot of time with him on Friday. He actually looks great. He's in excellent shape. I know what he's been doing, where he's been doing it.
Do you miss having CD here?
Yes. I mean, that's my guy. Not many more people out there, more swaggier, cooler, better player than that guy. So obviously you're going to miss him, miss having him around. But I've been in this situation. It's business. Business is business. He's got my support and pretty much everybody in this locker room. I mean, I know locker room support, and so that's it's part of it. Hopefully he'll get all his and everything he's deserves and is worth.
Oh, it's big. I think anytime you have an opportunity as a young receiver to get reps, it's a huge opportunity, especially if it's with the first group. So I mean, it just, you could see both JT and Jay Brooks is his current nickname. So those two guys had really, really nice practices yesterday.
Couple of interesting things there. Micah, I don't think is anything that anyone needs to worry about. He's going to be there. He's going to be there next week to start learning Mike Zimmer's or defense and whatnot. But when you look at what CD is happening, that last soundbite I think is interesting from Mike McCarthy. CD not being there is giving more opportunities to guys that need the opportunities, the younger kids, the Jalen Tolberts, the Jonathan Brookses of the world, the Kevontae Turpins of the world, to get on the same page and prove that they can take that next step.
Yeah. Again, it goes back to what Dak was saying, business is business. I mean, if you're CD, the last thing you want, when you're now up for your first really big bag is go out and have something happen on a practice field, even though they're not going, lights out in some of these things in a lot of cases. However, it's, this is what happens. I mean, CD has earned the right to get paid like a top flight receiver. And so his absence, I certainly understand it. Micah's is a little more, to me, a little harder to kind of understand.
Why is that?
Because they only have a few of these a few times a year. So why not build your schedule around there and be on the field? This is going to be a new defense. There is a new defensive coordinator. And yeah, I know he's been in the building and they're making excuses for him, but just like last year, there are plenty of times that you can go out and do whatever it is that you're doing, train if you want to train with the boxing gym and do all that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's just a little odd. And, so when you see reports out that, maybe this is the kind of thing that irritates the higher ups, you can certainly understand it. Look, there's also this part of it too, which is voluntary, right? So I understand that as well. But if you're trying to build the best team that you can possibly build, and, Mike is technically looking for his bag next year, I don't know. There's a part of me that would want to see him, if he's really all in, to be out there every single moment you can with the rest of your teammates.
For me, it seems like Micah has one foot in the media, kind of building his brand.
I think that's legitimately fair.
Outside of football. Not that he's not all in on, to use Jerry Jones's words. Not that he's not all in on the Cowboys, and when the season starts, he's not going to be there, because I fully believe he's going to be there. He's going to be fully invested in this team. He's going to try every week. He's going to try every day. He's going to give 100%. So I'm not trying to say that at all. But he definitely has outside interests that he's trying to further in his off season, and that's one of the reasons that he's missing these training camps.
I think the word you hit on was brand, right? And it's even that in the locker room. I'm not saying he doesn't get along with other people, but you can see that he legitimately is his own entity in a lot of ways. And, I'm not knocking the guy. He's a hell of a football player. He's a great personality. He's really good on TV or on radio or wherever you put a microphone in front of him. He shares. He's thoughtful. He's thought things out. So, again, you can have all these things, but at some point, the reason why you're Micah Parsons is because you play football. And yes, this is it is voluntary, but I don't know. It just would be a nice it would be nice to see if he was out there with the rest of the dudes.
Yeah, this isn't abnormal now, though. I think you and I were talking about this the other day, where it's just like players miss OTAs more often now because they're training in another state with another team and they're doing their thing. And those teams might be not with another team, like another NFL team, but like their own team to train with. But the Chiefs do this all the time. They hold voluntary workouts with Patrick when Coach Reed can't really talk to the players and all that stuff. But so this is becoming a little bit more common now, especially since like 2020 and everyone had to go train on their own anyway. I think people have learned a different way to do things, even though it does seem odd.
Yeah. And for me, I look at it a little differently in that it used to be voluntary, legitimately was voluntary. And so you would have maybe half the team show up. But since the new CBA has come into play and practice time is legitimately limited, you know, how many days you can be in pads, how hard you can go, how many OTAs you can have, how many times you can be in the building, all that stuff, because it's limited. The good teams are the ones like the Chiefs that do things on the side. The Cowboys do it. Dak's done an amazing job with getting younger receivers, and, you know, they have a camp somewhere, and, you know, whether it's on a beach or not, it doesn't matter. You're still doing things together to help build chemistry, learn the playbook, all of those kinds of things. So the good teams have had to find a way to, you know, maximize the amount of time they can get away from the building because their time in the building is limited or mandated.
If I was to ask you this, whose absence at OTAs matters more, CD or Micah? What would your answer be?
That's a tough one. I mean, I would say for corporate knowledge purposes, it feels like on the surface that CD's absence is less important this time of year. The thing I would weigh in on the Micah side is because Zimmer's new offense and schematically what's going to be different. Time on the field with those around you. How's his role going to change? I'm talking about Micah. You know, those kinds of things when, again, you're talking about, you know, a couple days this week, a couple days next week, 3 days in June. And then you go into training camp. I mean, the hope is that you're all up to speed. You got all the installs each day for each of the practices so that when you go into training camp, you know, everybody is humming. I mean, you have to act like the season is starting on day one of training camp.
I would say CDs is more of a big deal only because of why he's not there. You're seeing all these contracts go out to receivers around the league. You're seeing all of this money be thrown around, and he hasn't gotten his money yet, and he wants his money. And if you don't give him his money, he's not going to be there. And so it's kind of that threat is a little bit more of a big deal. Obviously, he doesn't have an offense to learn. They're going to change some things and tweak some things, but it's the same offensive coordinator, it's the same head coach, same play caller. Doesn't really have to learn that much. So the reason that he's gone, I think, is a bigger deal than the reason that Micah is not there.
Okay.
I do want to hear or listen to this real quick. So Dak Prescott, I believe this was from today. It could have been from yesterday. I could be wrong. But Dak Prescott asked about his contract status and just listen to his answer.
I don't play for money. Never have, never cared for it, to be honest with you. Yeah, would give it up just to play this game. So so I allow that to the business people to say what it's worth, what they're supposed to give a quarterback of my play, a person of my play, leader of my play, I guess you can say. And for me, it's about, as I said, control. I can control and handle that part, and the rest will take care of itself.
He's so full of crap.
Yeah, I wrote a whole rant on this for Sports Weekly because that's all I needed to hear. It's like, come on, dude. I know, like, from time to time I was putting on the side of the class with the slow kids, but I did not come in yesterday's mail. I mean, so the next level is to this and it's easy for him to say that when he's made $160 million bucks. And the fact that if I'm not mistaken, even if he walks, he's still going to have a $40 million cap hit next year on the Cowboys.
That I don't know.
So yeah, I think that's the way it is. But okay, let's even say that's not even true. Here's how we solve all this. You want to get Micah and CD done? Dak, go in to Jerry's office right this second, give him a bargain basement deal or, you know, a less than market value deal, and then put your money, you know, the thing that you don't like, where your mouth is.
Yeah, that's such a good point. It's like you can say that money doesn't matter until you sign on the dotted line for a $60 million a year contract, which he's probably going to do next offseason. He has said multiple times, I don't want to necessarily be the highest paid. I want to be paid my market value. Your market value is $65 million right now. He knows that. Jerry Jones knows that. Stephen Jones knows that. Everyone knows that. If you want to make your market value, you're not going to win a Super Bowl.
Right. And his money people, so let's just take, for instance, it and say for what he said is absolutely what he believes. Well, your agent and those around you, those people are supposed to be working for you. So somebody in their camp cares about the money.
Yeah.
And so, I guess it's easy to deflect that, but yeah, that was one of the more bizarre things I think I've heard in quite some time because, again, everything about Dak, for the most part, you like, right? You like what you get on the field. You like what you get in the locker room. You like what you get, in terms of a guy leading your football team. But to say you're not playing for the money it's
something.
That was one heck of a hug he gave his brother at the press conference after he got his first bag. So I was telling somebody, man, I wish my wife would hug me like that.
So we don't have Bob here today. We have Chris.
Yeah.
Chris, are you a Cowboys fan?
No, Lions.
Oh, Lions. Okay.
Yes.
But I see the faces you're making over there when we're talking about Dak's money. So give us your 2 cents real quick.
Are you kidding? I mean, if that was the case, why didn't you just donate it to charity? I guess everybody in there plays for money. It's how you build your respect. This is how your level of respect is how much you get paid, and of course that's what they want.
Of course, and that's why at the end he's like, I want to be paid for someone of my status, someone who plays like I do on the field, who leads like I do. He's like, these are all the things I do for you. Give me my money, even though I don't care about it. That's basically what he just said, right? Like, am I mixing this up?
No,
I'm pretty sure that's what
I
he
don't
just
think so. I mean, and again, that's why it sounds a little disingenuous to say the least.
said. Absolutely. Before we move on to the pizza topic, Chris, anything, any comments or anything like that for
Not
now?
at the moment.
All right.
Not at the moment, we're good.
All right. So, does pineapple belong on pizza? Let's get into some more fun stuff before we get out of here. Chuck, are you a pineapple on pizza person?
Absolutely not, Matthew. I mean, come on. Fruit belongs in the fruit bowl, not on your pizza.
Why not?
No, dude, you got to have you can have vegetables. I'm okay with that, green peppers, but the perfect pizza is, as we all know, really, really, really thin crust, extra sauce, sausage, pepperoni, either one or both, and green peppers.
Green peppers. You have green peppers on that.
Yeah.
All right. So,
And then if you got some ranch dipping sauce or whatever, but how the hell can you put a pineapple or any piece of fruit on a
it's
pizza?
so good.
Or like the kind that you get, and I remember the pizza chain that did it, they'd have like cinnamon pizza thingies with, I mean, come on.
Well,
no,
at a certain point, it's not a pizza anymore. People will argue that if pineapple's put on pizza, it's not pizza. I completely disagree.
Okay.
Because if you have pineapple, it's a sweet and savory kind of thing. It's, it tastes delicious.
Sweet and salty.
I see that the super that that Luis has put up says, yes, it does change my mind. I don't think anyone's going to change my mind on this. I believe that pineapple belongs on pizza, and it's still a pizza. Like, why does that not make it a pizza anymore?
No, it makes it some sort of fruit cocktail.
I actually didn't know that you had this strong opinion on pineapple on pizza.
It's repulsive. I don't even know how we got there. I mean, it's probably not as bad as like anchovies or something. Where it's like, how did anchovies ever make their way onto a pizza? I didn't even know what an anchovy was till somebody said pizza.
Well, we're not putting like pears on pizza. We're putting pineapple. It's different. It's it's sweeter. It has a different flavor to it. With some Canadian bacon on a Hawaiian pizza, give it to me, Chris.
I don't know. I lived in Italy for a while, and
Okay.
they feel the same way about meat.
Really?
There's Neapolitan pizza. Naples is where pizza came from, and it's pretty much dough, a little bit of sauce, and they might put some basil leaves on there. You're not getting pepperoni. You're not getting sausage.
All right,
you're not getting any of that.
No,
what the
But
heck do
me,
the Italians
no, pineapple, I'm out.
I'm
out.
not going to Italy then. What do they know about pizza?
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm going down the street or something to
Right.
get some pizza. No, my ideal pizza, it doesn't have pineapple on it, but I won't throw a piece of pineapple pizza like away. I'm not going to throw it at somebody. I don't think it's repulsive. My ideal pizza is pepperoni, sausage, bacon, any type of meat that you want on your pizza. Give it to me on my pizza. I'll take mushrooms on my pizza. I like mushrooms. Olives are the worst food in the world, so I don't want olives on my pizza, or peppers. I like peppers in certain things, but I don't want peppers on my pizza. I'll take jalapenos. But everyone has their different preferences. And for me, give me a pizza all day.
That's fair. I mean, with the pineapple thing for me is I wouldn't eat a pineapple anyway, so why would I put it on my pizza?
Okay, so you're just a pineapple hater.
Right. For the most part, yes.
So you just don't like
Yeah.
pineapples.
Accurate.
Okay, that makes more sense now.
Yes.
He doesn't like pineapples, so he's not going to put pineapples on his pizza. That's fair. Do you like pineapples, Chris?
I love pineapples,
Just not on
just
pizza.
not on pizza. I tried it, with the ham, pineapple, the whole Hawaiian thing, and it just didn't sit well.
So there was this restaurant, before we get out of here, there was this restaurant, it's called J-Bo's in Durango, Colorado. It was right next to my house that I lived in senior year. And it was a spicy Hawaiian pizza. It was Canadian bacon, pineapple, and jalapenos. It was so damn good.
It sounds good, minus the
pineapple. Jalapenos are fine on your pizza.
100%.
Right,
yeah,
cool.
and the older I get, the more my taste buds needs a little
little kick in the ass.
100%. Yeah.
All right. Well, I wanted to have some fun before we end on a little bit more of a somber note. So for people, that's all we got for you on the Sneakers Cleats podcast today. I do want to end a different way than I usually do. Tomorrow is the 2-year anniversary of the Uvalde school shooting. For those who don't know, 21 people senselessly killed in their classrooms at Robb Elementary in Uvalde. It's only about an hour and 10 minutes from here. So I wanted to end, even though this is a sports podcast, I wanted to end on a 21-second moment of silence for them. Tomorrow is a difficult day for a lot of people, one in our industry, but two, everybody in Uvalde and families that we've gotten to know so well. The Jesse Rizzos of the world, the Brett Crosses of the world, the Berlinda Areolas of the world, the people who are continuing to fight for their kids, and the 2 teachers that passed away as well. I wear an Ava Strong bracelet every day because that's what she deserves. So we're going to end on a 21-second moment of silence for the people that we lost 2 years ago. We'll never forget you. I hope nobody else does either. Everyone else, thank you for listening. We'll see you on Monday.